21st century, geometry archaeology has become very popular due to the fact that many levels that were being uploaded would just be completely erased a few days after the upload without any logical explanation. Due to that, people were searching in every corner possible to find these old levels, and as people were finding a lot of those, that job was becoming very profiting, and a lot of people decided to hop into geometry archaeology by the end of geometry 2.1. You yourself are also a very experienced geometry archaeologist, and due to that fact, you end up finding various levels, a very high quantity of them. And one time, you find a level that stands out from the rest. It's an XL layout with more than 3 minutes of things to explore, so you decide to go. You didn't actually know its name, since it might not even have been named while it was created, and just left as unnamed. So you decided to call it the Lost Pathway, and then you went inside the level to see what it had of so special.
To make everything easier to understand, I'm going to explain the lore as we play the level. Let's go back a little bit. You see these dots? They may just look like ordinary decoration, but having them is a really good sign, and you'll see why in just a few moments. You see that creature that kinda looks like a StemStep monster? Well, explaining this would explain everything else that's happening on this level, so let's dive right into it. You see, in the beginning of Geometry 2.1, a lot of new players were joining because they heard about the game and wanted to test it out. One of those players was Exoki. This was Exoki's icon set. Exoki's real life name is still unknown to this day. Exoki really wanted to leave an impact on the GD community, so he participated on a GD Awards and built a machine that apparently was just nothing special and just looked like a club set monster. That machine is the one that you are finding in the level right now. Exoki's invention, though, was not appreciated at all. People just thought it was unoriginal and didn't know what it was actually made for. Exoki knew how to use triggers very well, even better than anyone else at the time could. But he wanted to keep that hidden because he wanted the community to think he's just another beginner. Unfortunately though, Exoki ended up getting last place on the competition. After those events, Exoki started building a lot of levels. He would post one per month, and they would all be layouts, with very simple trigger work. But the time spent to make these layouts was nothing of Exoki's time. The time he had, he was building his machine and fine-tuning it because it was still not very functional. But I guess now it is time to review what that machine was really made for. As mentioned earlier, Exoki has very good trigger skills, and with those, he fine-tuned his machine up to the point on where it could delete levels just by going in them and eating every single object of that level, with only one problem. If the machine didn't eat all the objects in the level, it would stay. Even if there was only one object left, the level could still be found and seen by everyone. Knowing that, Exoki fine-tuned his machine up to the point where it will work in any level, independently of the object count. He made a lot of tests with the machine, and he decided that it was already done. So then, Exoki released his machine in the Recent tab, and it started eating levels in a massive quantity. But then, something bad happened. You know, when a level is posted, it goes to the Recent tab for the first few minutes. But the problem is that Exoki's machine was destroying everything that it saw, which means that any level posted then would just be completely obliterated. And a popular creator who had worked on the level for a very long time had finally posted their level, but as the machine was still claiming victims, it ended up destroying their level. That made the creator extremely mad because he saw the level getting devoured while he couldn't do anything to save it. So mad in fact that it ripped the default block texture out of the machine's body, revealing its red eyes and leaving it beat up. And RobTop, who had just finished rating the level, decided to replay it. When entering the level, RobTop noticed that there was something off, but then met face to face with the machine, in its destroyed state, that is. But the machine was so destroyed that it ended up collapsing and burying itself in the ground. RobTop then places one of his backup orbs to further investigate what happened to the level. After dashing up until the editor limit, RobTop finally finds an object. RobTop then collects the object, then extracts its data. And with this data, he manages to restore everything that was once in the level. But that all happened in such a short time that nobody else actually noticed it. But then, what happened to the machine, you may ask? After seeing that his machine wasn't destroying anything anymore, Exoki decided to check it out. And then, he finds his machine destroyed and buried into the ground. Exoki would then go, carry his machine, and hide himself somewhere far away from that level. Exoki would then try to fix his machine, and he would do it very hastily. And that haste is because if someone finds him, he's gonna be in huge trouble. Because when a player is exterminated by this machine, that player becomes a spirit. And that's actually caused by a line of code in the machine, because normally the player would just respawn. And to prevent these spirits from escaping, those red eyes trap them inside the machine. And to protect these eyes, the machine was covered by one of the game's default block textures. Even with a lot of haste and years of work, Exoki could still not fix his machine in time, before he was finally caught. But when surrounding Exoki to ask questions, the players noticed a weird noise that kind of sounded like a cry. And it looked like it was coming from the machine's red eyes. And when trying to investigate, they ended up freeing all the spirits that were trapped inside the machine. Shortly after, everything is told to RobTop, which then allows the spirits to get a function of either an annoying spirit or a protector spirit. If they choose to be an annoying spirit, their color will stay gray, but they would be able to annoy Exoki for the rest of his life. But the protector spirits could choose their own color, and their function is to help players not only from Exoki's levels but from any deadly trap. But saving players took a lot of energy, and if these spirits ran out of energy, they would die out. More than 1,000 people choose to be annoyance spirits, and only 2 decide to take the protector route. This last happening dates back to only 2 days in the past. Who knew that explaining just that would tell us the entire lore for the level? So now that we've got everything addressed, let's keep going with the level and see what happens next. Here, the protector spirits use their strength to take the machine away, and puts your mind at ease with some nice and clean stars. And after taking a bit of help from the spirits, you find a deadly trap. These traps were placed by Exoki on the time he was being looked for because he knew he was a wanted criminal. Exoki even made it so that question marks appear if someone is able to bypass this trap in some way, which the spirits help you to do by taking one of the level's objects and using them to carry you to the next part of the level. To summarize how the spirits help you, the spirits manifestate using objects their color, and when they manifestate in the same way and in the same place, it becomes white. They manifestate like this to guide you throughout the entirety of the level. You can have this experience yourself by playing the level. The ID is on screen. What happened there is that the spirits sacrificed themselves to save you one last time so that you could finally beat the level. And done! The lore is explained and the level is complete. As such, the video ends. Don't forget to play the level if you want to, like and subscribe at your own will, and always remember, the AI voice will not prevail.